He was like, why ain't your birth? You 45, you a red flag.
I apologize for going in on Shareese. I'm not like that. I'm sensitive. I don't want you to feel like that.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Blackbird 91. We're speaking about this. We warned Mike about Shareese last time. Last episode, we warned you. Don't play with this one right here, sir. Don't play with this one right here. You're going to get bit, and you're going to be sorry, and you're going to be feeling the effects of the bite because of the slow venom that will slowly kill. Listen, I got nothing against Shareese, but I'm just saying I'm starting to see certain behaviors that I am not liking from her. Throwing stones, hiding hands, that kind of stuff. Never sit right in my book, okay? But listen, we're going to break it all the way down. Make sure you like, you share, you subscribe. You click on that bell button for notification. They're up, lows. And for those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is, baby. You got the minerals. You got the minerals. Stay hydrated because the streets out there are hot. All right, let's get into the video. Let's talk about Mike and Shareese. Let's watch a bit more.
I'm a good guy. I don't want no hard feelings, so I like to move past things. I don't have a problem apologizing if I've done something wrong or made someone...
So we had Mike and Shareese obviously issue where Shareese obviously crossed Mike and said obviously his kids are baggage, and he said, listen, how can you call my kids baggage, etc., right? And it was a little bit of a heated argument. He had one with Kaden that day. He had a little bit one back and forth with April disagreement. It was one or two things that were happening with Mike that day as well. Shareese also too has had some run-ins with Shakira, with Kayla, as well, and now Mike. Okay. So there's been a few run-ins, and we've heard the stories about how the ladies feel about how the men feel about Shareese, and then a lot of the men were like, "Ooh, with Shareese, there's something that's not quite right," in terms of the fact that she behaves in a particular way that is causing antagonism and problems within the camp, which is why she was put in the bottom beforehand as well. It was the energy she was carrying. Now, with Mike and Shareese, let me be very, very honest. I felt like Mike was being a bit sensitive in that moment when he said about the kids being baggage, because of the way he reacted. Not because of what it was, but because of the way he reacted back. He was clapping back immediately. And it's like, bro, don't allow yourself to be in a place where you're clapping back, or not on TV anyway. Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't look good for a man to clap back at a girl the way that you did, with the tone that he took, right? I don't think he necessarily did anything glaringly wrong, but the tone was off, right? Which can be read a different way. So now he's talking with Shareese and one-to-one, and Shareese come and say she wants come have a conversation. Who apologizes and who doesn't? Let's have a look.
Feel some type of way. We can still be cordial.
See, I told you.
So he's the one that's actually apologized to Shareese. She hasn't apologized at all, right? She's had the argument with him, but from what we've seen, without obviously editing being involved, she didn't apologize. And that for me screams alarm bells. That someone who was also involved in the madness didn't go, do you know what, I apologize too. Like, I thank you for apologizing. Me too, I apologize because I didn't mean to say your kids were baggage. That's not what I was trying to get at. No. And so she wanted to have the conversation. Right? She wanted to have the conversation. Let me tell you something. From my perspective, and it's going to sound wild, I think Shareese likes these type of duels and battles with men. I think there is some dysfunction in the past life that reads familiar when things like this with the opposite sex make a lot of sense. When arguments with the opposite sex fuel you. Right? And it's because you're so used to dysfunction that you create dysfunction in order to survive in it. Because what you want is to repeat what is familiar to you in your younger days. And that often is a sign of the brokenness in itself, and the sign of how one meanders through interpersonal relationships with people. And so I saw that and I was like, okay. So she was like, let's talk. He's like, okay, cool. But then he ends up apologizing, but she doesn't apologize back. I think that speaks a lot about how she feels. I think she felt that she didn't do nothing wrong. Right? Now, she might have apologized behind the scenes. We didn't see it. But we're going by what the tape says.
I apologize if I said anything to make you feel uncomfortable or afraid to talk.
Okay, so he apologizes, and then the next thing she's going to say is, you scared me, when you was getting the way you were, da-da-da-da. But we still don't hear no apology from Shareese. And the reason why is because she's not sorry. Okay, and that's why I said she's dangerous. You know that she's dangerous. You know that she a bad girl. And she's dangerous and a bad girl because what she does is she puts you in a place where you end up apologizing, but she doesn't give that same back. So if she feels that she's done something wrong, she feels that she's justified in her actions. Because I didn't see an apology for Shakira. I didn't see an apology for Kayla. I didn't see an apology for Dominica, the way she behaved with them. No, she didn't. No apologies. But because she and you know what? And maybe because as well, it might be a little deeper issues here. When she likes a guy, what she ends up doing. And I just felt like in this moment, like, you know what? Of course, Mike didn't help himself because he's got sensitivity, which makes him more combative in these scenarios, meaning that you can press him and cause a reaction. And the same also with who's the other person now? Kayla too. She got the same kind of energy. If you press a button, she's gonna explode. But with Samson, you notice that it's you know, it's a bit more chill, a bit more calmer, you know. But yeah, I think that she likes a little bit of dysfunction, and so she almost creates her own dysfunction to be able to normalize it and what's happening in front of her.
No, you scared me a little bit.
He was like, why ain't your birth? You 45, you a red flag.
I apologize.
He apologized twice. And not once did she apologize. She spoke about red flag and kind of did a mocking voice, but we don't hear her apologize. We ain't gonna say sorry. We aren't going to hear an apology and go, do you know what? I too also acted without reason here, or I acted outside my jurisdiction, or I acted poorly in this moment. We're not gonna do that, no? We're not going to also return, not necessarily the favor, but return and actually have that dialogue and say, you know what? I can see that you owned your fault. Let me own mine. If she can't see that, then bro, she's a dangerous person.
Apologize for going in on Shareese. I'm not like that. I'm sensitive. I don't want you to feel like that. I'm a good guy. I don't want no harm.
So honestly, I'm looking at these two and I'm going, this is going to happen again. Shareese is going to strike once again. She has to, because it's a behavior pattern. And I saw it from early. When she had arguments with Kayla and Shakira, and the way she handled it, the way she dismissed Shakira at the table. She tried to play Shakira at the table by saying, go talk to someone else. That level of rudeness was not going to end. That level of rudeness was not going to stop at just women. I said this, mean girl doesn't stop at just women. It's going to go on to the men eventually. Eventually it's going to come on to the men. And now we're here at the men. And now we have a situation where a man is apologizing to her. Let's look at this end clip, because this was also interesting. I don't know if I can play this clip here. Of what was said here, yeah.
You to hear her out, and I think you did that. And that says something about your character as a man again.
As a black man too, I'm gonna take it there.
Now, Kaden goes on to say, listen, as a black man too, I'm gonna take it there. And we know what she's gonna take it to. We know what she's gonna take it to. The way that you react is gonna be a problem. So now he can't react in a particular way because it will look aggressive and look like he's trying to be intimidating, which is what she was trying to get him at. And that's why I said Shareese needs to be very careful, because what picture she's going to end up painting of a black man like Mike without actually trying to paint the picture of him. Do you know what I mean? So when we're hearing Kaden now break it down a little bit more, let's have a little listen.
You just have to be mindful of some people that you interact with and how you interact with them, because something so small turns into something and it denounces your...
And again, Kaden's absolutely right. Listen, something so small turns into, the Bible says, don't despise small beginnings. It turns to something big. And the reason being is because, once again, as she said herself, you need to hold yourself up to the standard, because unfortunately, as black people, we don't get that grace. And so without tarnishing your reputation and your name, and with one moment, chill, relax. Focus on the connects that you got right now. Don't worry about Shareese. If Shareese is making it moving mad, you let her, but you behave yourself. You stay on the straight and narrow. You stay on trying to succeed. But don't be getting crushed by this situation, because if you allow Shareese to, she'll twist the whole story to make you look bad, you know. And I think, oh man, it's peak. Let me just listen.
Her character, and that's how I felt. You. I think it's also as women too, to understand, to help another woman understand.
No.
Now, Shakira obviously removed herself, and I'll talk about this on another review. But clearly, Kaden was giving some good advice, because Mike was tuned in. And it's funny because obviously Kaden and Mike obviously were at odds the last episode, but seem to have made up and all being right close and righteous again, right? So the fact that's happening means to tell me that maybe that argument wasn't as intense as we saw on the screen, but they've actually got a working relationship, it seems, between them two, right? Which tells me that there isn't much animosity there anymore, right? From the last time they had a running, which is perfect. Okay, you know. So yeah, I don't know. Let's find a bit more.
No, secure.
I stay away from conversations like this because I don't want to deal with anybody else's drama.
What's your thoughts, guys, to Shareese and the mic situation? Do you think that Shareese was genuine in her pursuit of a conversation, or do you think she was trying to get some sound bites or at least some videotape bites? What's your thoughts around this situation with Mike and Shareese? Do you think they should get together? Let me know down below in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe. Click on that bell button for notification uploads. We appreciate it, guys. Stay locked.